Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Mwah. Wanted to do a video today on this interesting day. We're getting snow here today, isn't it crazy?
Yes, it is the Memorial Day weekend, and it's snowing.
Yeah.
So that in itself just doesn't go together. And it's just fascinating to watch. We have a lot of bird feeders. Specifically, we've got a ton of hummingbirds, and I've never seen them come in to get out of the snow and be so stable. I was actually able to videotape one sitting on a chair on our deck, and it sat there for at least 5 minutes. So
yeah, I don't think they like the snow.
Yeah.
No.
I love the snow, but I am ready for a little bit of sunshine at the end of May.
Yeah.
You know, it's
we got some good sun yesterday, though.
we did.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful, so I'm not going to complain.
Right.
So you wanted to talk about how to handle communication or discord, really, among couples.
Yeah, it's like how to minimize arguments. I don't think you can ever avoid them 100% of the time. I mean, it would be pretty amazing. I'd like to hear from anybody out there who's in a relationship who never argues, but even take the word argue out, maybe it never has a disagreement. I mean, because when you have two people coming together, there's always two opinions.
Right.
And sometimes that can get heated with a couple, whether you're married like Karen and I for all these years, or if you're just starting a relationship with someone. It's easy to have things get escalated. And it's important that you know when the escalation is happening, because, you know, what do we want to call this? It's like your ego builds that anger up, right? And you become unconscious, meaning you're not very conscious about what's really important, right? People forget.
I like that description. So once the ego takes over, you're sort of in a state of unconsciousness. However, if you can still have the conversation before you become so angry / unconscious, and there's still some rationale, right?
Right.
And then, you know, there's an opportunity for the disagreement to go in the most favorable way.
Yeah, it's not easy to do, because think about it. It's you know, Karen and I have talked about this, and you know what we're talking about, right? You know when you start heading down this path. But if you're really angry and irritated, you become really illogical. I mean, you don't think with a logical mind. If you talk to most of your friends and family members or people who have an argument, you know, what was it about? Oh, it was really just something stupid. I mean, how many times have you heard people say that? 1,000,000 times, right?
Right.
It usually is about something stupid.
I think anybody who says, I've never been there, is not telling the truth, because we've all been in a situation where we're having an argument, and at the end of the day, if we look back, either we don't remember or it was over something really ridiculous and you know, insignificant. You know, maybe he left the yoga mat out, or she left the yoga mat out, right? I mean, this is seriously no reason for anybody to lose any sleep.
I'm laughing about that now, because sometimes we'll leave the mat out. We'll say, oh, I hope this doesn't lead to a divorce. I think it was someone that said that was the beginning of their divorce. They said that I would leave the yoga mat out, and she was so mad about it. Right. It's just, that's a funny thing.
His understanding of why they were getting a divorce was because he would leave the yoga mat out a lot. And what that really, you know, translates into, it wasn't just the yoga mat.
Right.
It was a variety of different things that he did that irritated her, and he wasn't willing to, you know, pick up the yoga mat or whatever the other things were in order to make the peace.
Right.
So it really does go both ways. But these things are so insignificant that the higher self should just be able to say, who gives a rat's patootie if the yoga mat is still out, right?
What's a patootie?
It's a nice word for ass.
Okay.
So it's really who gives a rat's ass, but a rat's patootie.
But so this isn't always easy to do. So Karen and I have had these discussions, and you know, I think the best way to do this is have a discussion with your significant other. When you start to see these things escalate, let's remind each other that this is, the anger and the irritation of the ego taking over. And when there's some consciousness left, if you have some consciousness left, you can say, oh, that's right. It is taking over. Let me stop it right now because I don't want to go down this path. If it's too late, it's hard to say, by the way, this is your ego and your anger. Remember we talked about this. The other person will say, screw off. You had the same problem last week, or they're going to point to some other issue you have and try to make it about you and blame you. I mean, this back and forth turns into this big blaming or accusing, who's causing, or, whatever, fill in the blanks.
Right, or just you don't understand because anything that's said at that time is not going to be received very well. And if nothing at all is said, again, that also isn't received as well. So it's really the best line of defense to keep the relationship going is to be able to discuss before you have the argument how to handle the arguments when you have them.
Yeah.
And to be able to acknowledge, like right now, that, hey, Jeffrey, if we have an argument and my ego starts getting the best of me, it's okay for you to say, hey, Karen, I think your ego might be taking over. Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Right?
And sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's just
right.
The way it is. I don't mean with you, it's with anybody.
With anybody.
Because if somebody's angry, they're angry. And by the way, when you start to point it out to them, if it's too late, you aren't cracking that shell. I mean, they're down this path, and then maybe it is you have to have someone cool down.
Right.
But here's another thing on this. We had another video on that. I think once you start to get better at this, the cool down sessions are shorter. So
sure.
People can get angry and take it to their grave and be still mad at someone, till the day they die.
Right.
Sometimes it's months, maybe it's just weeks, maybe it's just a day. But why make it a day? Why burn up any of your time with anger with someone you love, especially? So, try to focus on it. Try to catch it up front. One of the things that I love when it happens, and this doesn't always happen, and we're not perfect either, but if we're arguing about something or something's getting heated or we're saying something in the kitchen and we both look at each other.
It does happen in the kitchen often.
Yeah, because I think that's your territory, and I'm kind of in your territory, in your space.
No, but that's usually where we have this funny resolution.
Yeah, and we'll
it's not my space. It's just that I'm a better cook.
You're a fantastic cook. I can't wait to have some more of those molasses cookies.
You're a good cook too.
So good.
You're just not as good of a cleaner. Anywho, so see what we're trying to do is just poke some fun here.
Yeah.
So what Jeffrey's trying to say is what happens with us now, because we've set this precedence about when we're having a disagreement, and sometimes it's over the most ridiculous things. Maybe we are in the kitchen, maybe I'm trying to get my coffee and Jeffrey's trying to get something in the drawer that I'm in front of, and sometimes we can just be in a mood and maybe that could set somebody off. Now we'll look at each other and we will literally laugh out loud.
And usually it's after maybe a few of the words will start.
Right.
And so
a few ridiculous
words.
And
so and you might end up earlier on it might have been I don't want to say an argument, but a disagreement. Then
or just an annoyance. I think it's the difference between an annoyance and a disagreement. Now it's something that you laugh off because you realize how silly it is. And I think if you're watching this and even if you try this with your partner where and I'm not talking about when they're upset about something serious. I'm talking about the 99.9% of the time when it's over, they're clicking through the channels too fast, or they always stop when there's a show on with guns and blood and guts, or things like that are really insignificant. Just crack up, and but do it from your heart, because you have to realize that you have a choice. You can be annoyed with this little habit, or you can be happy and laugh about it and say it. It's so funny.
Well, it is funny. It is funny if you can step back as your higher self and look at us as humans and some of the things we talk about and we get worried about and focus on, it is funny. It's laughable, really. So if you just train yourself to be able to take a step back and look from above, if you will. Look from above at what's going on, and if you can laugh, you'll be a lot better for it. So I think that's our advice for today. Try to catch it before it gets too far, and the irritation, the anger, call it what you want, starts to take over. Catch it before it goes too far. Be the bigger person if you have to. You know, I guess some people say it that way. You know, be the first one to do it, because you know, I think when people get in these scenarios, like, well, I'm not gonna be the first one to do it. Like, she should say sorry to me. I mean, this is what happens to people, right?
Right.
But catch it first, and if you have this agreement, this discussion we're having right now, I think that helps you too. That helps your ego also understand that, you know, hey, I'm doing this to save ourselves some a rough patch here that we don't need to go through.
Exactly. And I think while, you know, most of us have been in quarantine, we've been, you know, had a lot more together time, which for some of us has been amazing. And then for other people, you know, depending on the circumstances, you know, you might not be as comfortable yet. So you're still, you know, feeling like you have to tiptoe around, or whatever the circumstances are. We've all had a lot more together time. So therefore, it's not uncommon that we're going to have a few more, you know, spats or annoyances. And I think we just need to, you know, take them with a good grain of salt and laughter. And if you can laugh about it, if not, if you can at least have the discussion that, hey, you know, I'm sorry, that was so silly. I don't care. If you want to flick around the channels, you know, and only stop when you see blood or guns, do it. I don't care. I mean, no one's going to die from that, right? Except for the people on TV. Wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the nest at Copper Mountain.
Thanks, guys. And go ahead and give us a like and subscribe if you aren't already there. We'd love to have you on board. Thank you for listening.
Peace out.